Last weekend, Trent Williams suffered a very scary looking leg injury, and at the time of the injury, there was speculation about a possible high ankle sprain as well as potential for an MCL sprain. On Monday, Coach Kyle Shanahan came out and said that Williams had avoided the high ankle sprain. However, currently he is considered doubtful with a low ankle sprain. With today's video, I first want to look at the actual injury so that I can explain why there was initial speculation for an MCL sprain as well as a potential high ankle sprain. I also want to go over the relevant anatomy for a low ankle sprain and talk about the grading system so that we can get an accurate timetable for his return. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Nick Gallo and I'm a doctor of physical therapy. And with my channel, I take a look at sports injuries and I explain them so that they are a little bit easier to understand. I also go over the relevant anatomy and I also talk about what that person should expect when coming to rehab. If you like this content and you want to see more of it, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I will be making more of these videos in the future regarding sports injuries, rehabilitation, and other physical therapy related content. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please leave those in the comment section below. Now we can see here on the injury play that as Trent Williams has his right foot planted, a player is essentially going to fall into that leg and that's going to place something known as a valgus force going through it. Here I've got my model of the ankle, and so essentially the ankle is formed by two long bones coming down to form either side of it. The first one being the shin bone, also known as the tibia, is going to come down and form this medial malleolus here. And then on the outside portion here, we have the fibula bone that's going to come down and form that lateral malleolus. Then as we look deeper inside of the model here, this is our talus bone. And essentially these bones together form what we know as the ankle joint. There are several ligaments that essentially contribute to overall stability in the ankle. The first one being that anterior talofibular ligament, which is located right in through here. That's going to attach the talus and the fibula together. And it's called anterior because it's more towards the front of the foot. Then as we move slightly back here, we have the calcaneofibular ligament, which is going to attach the calcaneus and fibula. Finally, as we move towards the back here, we have the posterior talofibular ligament, which is going to attach once again the talus and the fibula, and it's called posterior because it's more so on the back portion of the foot. Now let's move towards the inside or medial portion of the ankle. There are several ligaments that together we essentially refer to as being the deltoid ligament, and that's going to be located essentially right in this area here. Finally, we'll go over the high ankle ligaments, and they're called this because they are not actually in the ankle joint itself. They are slightly above. The first one being the anterior tibiofibular ligament. So anterior, once again, it's more towards the front. Tibiofibular, meaning it's attaching the tibia and fibula together. Then as we move towards the back here, there is the posterior tibiofibular ligament. Posterior, once again, meaning that it's on the back. Tibiofibular, it's attaching the tibia and fibula together. So let's go over why this injury was initially speculated to also have an MCL component. So once again, a valgus force is a force that's coming from the outside going towards the inside portion. And as we do this at the knee, you can see here that it's stressing all of that medial compartment there. So anytime this occurs, we immediately think about potential MCL involvement. It could also include the meniscus as well. So that's essentially why there was some speculation initially that there was some knee involvement. Fortunately, this was ruled out and this has not been mentioned in the injury report, but it's important to know that anytime we see this kind of an injury, that the knee could also be implicated. Now let's also go over why it was initially speculated that this could be a high ankle sprain. So as we look at the injury video again, that foot actually is a little bit externally rotated and the force is coming through it from the outside. And as I do that on the model here, you can kind of see the tibia and fibula bones are starting to essentially separate from each other. And that's going to stress one or both of those high ankle ligaments. So fortunately, once again, this was ruled out because this is also a very lengthy recovery time. But in this case, that is also why that was speculated. So with those two ruled out and sources saying that he's dealing with a low ankle injury, essentially we move further down the chain here. Now, anytime a person is getting that inversion position in the foot, that is going to stress the lateral compartment. It can also affect the bone as well. In this case, it seems that he's getting the opposite. So the force is coming again from the outside in. It's going to stress all of the structures located medially. So it essentially is affecting that deltoid ligament. It can also have implications for the medial malleolus, but it seems that x-rays have essentially ruled bone involvement out. So as of right now, it's safe to say that since those other multiple injuries have been ruled out, The only one left to essentially be implicated here is going to be that deltoid ligament, which is located on the inside or medial portion of the ankle. Now let's talk about grading system for these ankle injuries. They are grades 1, 2, and 3. In a grade 1, you're getting stretching of the affected ligament. In a grade 2, you're getting partial tearing. And finally, in a grade 3, you're getting a full rupture. Earlier in the week, Williams was essentially said to be day-to-day, so I think it's pretty safe at this point to rule out a grade 3. In a grade 3, you're getting a lot of instability in that ankle, and a lot of times surgery is implicated. A lot of times in a grade 2, because you're getting partial tearing, you're also getting a lot of instability in the ankle, and this can really prolong the recovery time several weeks. So I think it's also safe to say at this point that a grade 2 is not what he suffered. So I think it's safe to say at this point that with grades 2 and 3 being ruled out, it seems that he's more likely to have suffered essentially a grade 1 deltoid sprain. And with this, if he absolutely does not play against the Vikings, there's a very good chance that he's going to return to the next game. Anytime we get somebody in the clinic essentially with a grade 1 ankle sprain, we're going to follow that acronym RICE, where R stands for rest, I stands for ice, C stands for compression, and E stands for elevation. We essentially want to pump out as much swelling and inflammation as possible from the ankle joint. And then because there is no tearing of the affected ligament, we can be pretty aggressive with this person as long as it's not reproducing their pain. So we'll immediately go into range of motion. We'll start them doing weight-bearing activities as fast as possible, and then finally get them into sport-specific movements. There's also a high chance this person can play with their ankle being taped. So essentially, we're going to need to wait a little bit and see if there's any other injury reports about him playing this weekend. If you enjoyed this content today, I'm going to go ahead and link another one of my playlists If you enjoyed this content today, I'm going to go ahead and link another one of my playlists so that you can see some of the other injuries that I've talked about. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.